Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and today's tutorial is on how to make this trifold album. And this is using the 49th and Market Foundations Memory Keeper trifold album. And it has the magnets already included in it, and then we just added a page and some pockets. So this is approximately about 6 5/8 by 8 1/2 with about a 1 1/2 inch spine. Came out pretty nice. And the paper I used is the Stamperia Desire. So we'll just open that up. And when you first open it up, this is what you see. You can place a photo right here. And then this opens up and you can place a photo here. And when we open this up, it will release page 2. And there's places for photos and a large pocket. And this is what this looks like. Now I got a lot of photo mats in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got about 6 of them in here. Wait, yeah, 6. 6 that I was able to get into this pocket. And we have our waterfall. Another place. And I showed this. You can get a couple photos down there. And then over here, we added this large fold out. And you can put a photograph right here and kind of slide it back behind the guitar. And then there is another pocket, a big area for your photograph. And this is a real easy, quick tutorial, by the way. And it's a 1 paper pack. Here we made it so it's a tuck area. I'm going to show you. I've got several, 5 picture mats in this pocket. But just to show you, you can slip back behind her. We'll just stick all that back in. Closes up. And page 2 goes in, and then it hides back behind this enclosure. And then everything just kind of comes back together. And there is nice spacing in there. So that's what we're going to be making today, and I hope that you got a good view of that. Let's move on into the materials list. There's not a whole lot. Materials, well, there's not a whole lot to this. I am going to use 1 pack of the Stamperia Desire. This is the 12 by 12 pack, and the colors in here are just beautiful. They really are. And I wanted an opportunity to work with this and do a project with 1 paper pack. The second thing I'm going to be using is the 49 and Market, and this is the black Foundations Memory Keeper. It's a trifold magnetic closure, and it's just like a trifold album. Now this is all chipboard, and it is about 6.625 by 8 1/2 by 1 1/2. So 6.625 is approximately about 6 5/8, I'd say. So there's a heavy duty magnet right up here. So no magnets are going to be needed in this. And then when you open it up, this is what it looks like. And it comes with this. And again, there's another heavy duty magnet. And inside here, for shipping purposes, you'll find a cardboard insert so that this doesn't mash down while in shipping. So this is what it comes with, and we are going to be adding our page and pockets to this. So that's what I am using. I'm also going to be using the Basil 8 1/2 by 11. This is heavyweight, about 110 pound, I'd say. Licorice Twist. It's just black cardstock, and it's a heavyweight. Optional. Now, I just got these flowers in my store, and I wanted to use some of the red ones. And this one is by the Little Birdie, Agnes Love and Roses, and it's 8 pieces. I've already taken 1 out, and these do come with a sparkle in it. However, I'm going to be using a little bit of stickles. Now you can use Stardust, Crystal, Diamond, whatever you have, and I just added a little bit more to mine. And that's completely optional. You don't even have to have the flowers if you don't want. Glue, I'm using the Art Glitter Dries Clear Glue. And those of you who've been following me, look, I have a new bottle. My old bottle, you couldn't even see the label anymore. It was so used, and I had been refilling and refilling. So finally I went and bought a new bottle, and I'll just keep refilling this. But this dries clear. And maybe some 1/4-inch score tape. Now, if you have some 1/4-inch score tape already, you don't need much. So if you're just half of this or so, you won't even need it, okay? So we're just going to use it in a couple places, and that's it. Other items that you are going to need for tools and equipment is your scissors, bone folder, or scoring tool. Craft knife is always helpful. An eraser, a pencil, a ruler, scoring board, and a paper cutter. This is a quick and easy project, and you should be able to get this done in a day, I'd say. Let's get started. And oh, don't forget to download the pre-cutting guide. That is what's going to give you all your pre-cuts for your black cardstock. And we'll be going over the pre-cuts and the scoring as well as we tackle each section. We're going to begin by decorating the outside with our decorative paper. And first though, before we get to cutting on the decorative paper, I want us to label this. It's going to make our life much easier, and will fall in line with the pre-cuts on our pre-cutting guide. First things first, let's organize our trifold so that the opening is right off to the right. And here I want you to write front. Go ahead and rotate it on over, and we'll call this the back. All right, opening off to the right, let's open that up. We're just going to put a 1 for page 1. We'll open that up. So now we're looking at this, and this should be opening like that. Right here, we're going to put inner spine, whoops, number 1, right there. Now, inner spine number 1 is going to carry our page 2 when we insert it. Okay, over here, let's put inner spine number 2 so we don't get confused. Let's do page 4 here. And when we open this up, this is going to be our page 3. It's just going to make it easier for us, and I like to do my tutorials in sections. So we'll just do it like that. Okay, opening is off to the right. We're going to start cutting into our decorative paper. And there are no pre-cuts for decorating the outside section of this tutorial. We're going to jump right on into our paper. I'm going to get my cutting board out. If you are new to my tutorial, I do want to say that when I tell you to measure so that we can all have the same leftover cuts, it'll be easier finding pieces in our scrap pile or reserve pile, as I call it. But what I like to do is try and stay consistent when I tell you to cut. For instance, the first piece that we're going to get out is, where is it? Ah, right here. This beautiful piece. On this side you'll have a door, and on this side we have this gorgeous print. I'm going to put that out of the way. So as I was saying, I'm going to try and stay consistent. I'm going to start over here and measure over this way, and then we'll cut. Now sometimes I want to get a particular piece out of the paper. I might tell us to turn our paper sideways, look at it like this, then we'll start over here and measure over. So in this case, with this print, we do need a few pieces off this. So the first cut we're going to do is we're going to look at our paper sideways like this. We're going to measure over 11.5 inches and cut. So my blade is right here, as you can see. So 11.5 inches, and we'll do some cuts together. This piece, just put off to the side. We are going to use that. All right, next one, measure over 10 3/4 and cut. We're going to be cutting this page down to get what I want. So 10 3/4. This piece right here, what we're going to do is we can just put this in our reserve pile. Our reserve pile, once again, is just a scrap pile. So I'm going to put that off to the side. Next, we're going to turn it all the way around, looking at it like this. We're going to measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8 1/4. This piece we'll put in our reserves as well for right now. We'll be getting back after that. All right, so this is what we have. Now we're just measuring over 6 inches and cutting. So we had a lot of cuts to get what we wanted on this. Where's my cutter? There we go. So we're going to be using both of these. And while we're at it, this piece here, we'll get this one ready too. So this piece, let's just flip it over to the other side. You'll see the brown piece over here. We're going to start over here, measure over 8 1/4 and cut. And then we'll need to get some more pieces, but so 8 1/4, and this little piece that falls off, just put in your reserves. And this long piece we're going to need. So here's the front, and we're actually going to use the door. And what we're going to do is, if you were to place this down, you'll bring it over to the right to where you have maybe 1/8 inch of your black cardstock showing. And we will center that top and bottom, so you'll have about 1/8 inch of black top and bottom around there. And then we have the whiter over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to place that down. I'm going to flip this over, and this is where I like to use my score tape on the outside prints. And again, if you're just using glue, you apply your glue, but you're definitely going to want to burnish when you're done, whether you're using glue or score tape. We'll be burnishing down the score tape from this side, and as well as once we place it on the other side. So all I'm doing right now is going along the edges like a picture frame, and anything that kind of hangs over we'll snip off. So, and I can see I have a little bit of overhang there. Other than that, it's good. So the next thing is I'm going to put one strip down the middle and then one strip on either side. And you don't have to measure, just kind of eyeball that and get it in there. Okay, burnishing. If you don't know what burnishing is, if you're new, burnishing is taking your tool and making sure that your tape is down and you get all the air out from underneath so there's no liftage later. This is where the craft knife comes in handy to get this up. Here's a little trick too if you're using the score tape. So here's the front. I like to put some glue, shoot some glue down the sides and on the bottom. That way when I'm placing this and the glue's down here, I can maneuver it if I need to. So I'm just going to try and get that on as straight as I can. I'll go with it. And again, burnishing, whether you're using score tape or glue, you're definitely going to want to burnish that down. Get your glue spread out underneath if you're using glue, or getting your tape to make good contact. Now I put way too much glue on the back side, so I'm going to have some squirting out, and I'll just clean that up. All right, this piece. Now this piece I am going to use glue, and all I'm going to do is, see this area here, is I'm just going to match it up with the top and bottom. I'll leave about 1/8 inch or so of my black showing, and I'm going to glue that down. If you'd rather have the blue going this side up, you can. It's a little easier with strips like this to use some glue. Just make sure you get your edges and your corners pretty good. Woohoo! We did it. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it to the back. And again, this piece here, I'm actually going to be placing my score tape on this side, and I am going to bring it all the way over to the right, leaving that gap over here. So score tape, same thing, all the way around like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on each side, and then we're going to place it together. All right, I am ready to place it. Now for right here. All right, grab this back out of your reserves, and I'm going to look at it like this. So we have the little line here of the little trim. We'll measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8, I'm not sure if you can see that, 1/4. And this piece I will put in my reserves. Now, for this, I'm not going to do the blue side up. You can if you prefer. I'm going to actually put it down like this. And it's going to be a little wider than it was on the front, but that's okay. This is the back. And once again, I got a little crazy with my glue. I'll just have to clean that up. Alright, so here's the front, here's the back. Let's get for here and here. Now one side is slightly wider than the other side. Let's grab this back out of our reserves. And we'll look at it like this. Measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8 1/4, we'll get that. I'll put this in my reserves. Let's look at it like this. Measure over 1 3/8 and cut. Okay, this piece put in your reserves. We'll have to get after another piece to get over here. Now we can turn it over and go like that, or you can have it like this. Whatever it is that you would like to do. I'm going to go with this side up. And I'm just going to use glue for this. It's easier on the spines to just use some glue. I do like using score tape for my outside prints. So here's the front. I'm just going to rotate it. And I'm going to place it, and it will have like a black border on the sides and the bottom. And by using glue, it's easier to maneuver on that. Okay, we're going to need to get for this. We're going to make good use of this piece, and this is your cover, and on the back side you will see this. So the first thing I would like you to do is stick this on your paper cutter, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut right between the red and the white, right all the way down, and I'll show you mine. We're going to start there. Do the best you can. Try to get the red off. So I'm just going to cut that. And this piece I'm going to put in my reserves. Now, looking at your piece like this, the red is over here, measure over 1 1/4 and cut. So 1 1/4. And we're going to stick this in our reserves. So now I have this, and I'm looking at it. We have the print trim up here, measure over 8 1/4 and cut. And we'll put this in our reserves. We're going to center that right on in there. Now, if you'd rather use that side, you can. It's colorful. And then I'm going to place it. Out of my packet of flowers, I've grabbed 3. And I did add stickles to the one here, and I got some leaves. Whoops! Darn that thing. Just going to stick one here, and then here and here. And I do want to put some stickles on these other 2. And there'll be time to dry before I'm done. I'm just kind of dot it on the edges there, stickles. And you don't need that much, just kind of dot it around, get in the middle. Alright, on the last piece we have our cut aparts. And what we're going to do is cut out a couple here. If you'd rather use something different, maybe the guitar, do a few things like that, you can do that. I'm going to go here. Alright, this is what I got. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out and around this image. And I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. So this is what mine looks like. I did not get too crazy. There is still white around my image. And those of you that follow me quite often will know that I'm getting ready to get my black cardstock out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to glue this down now to some black cardstock. And then I'm going to cut out and around it, leaving maybe a 1/16, just a sliver of black showing. You do not have to, especially if you left a little bit of white and just kind of weaved around it. You can always go like that if you want. However, I want mine to really stand out and bring it forward. So that's why I'm doing it like this, taking the time to do that. This is what mine looks like after putting the black and doing that the best I can. And I'm just going to situate these guys. So I'll glue that down. I'll check this in a bit to make sure I don't need to add any more glue underneath there. But I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's grab this back out of our reserves. The word happiness, we're going to get after that. And I'm just going to cut off the white around it. You can use your paper cutter if you'd like. I'm just going to do it by hand the best I can. Grab a piece of black cardstock. We're going to glue this down now. And we're going to cut out and around this, leaving about a 1/16 of black showing. And I can clean this up once I get it out, if needed. That's pretty good. I mean, that's as best as I'm going to do. We're just going to glue that down right like that. I'm going to put this back in my reserves. Our cover is complete. We are now ready to move on to page 1. Also, right here we did not label it. Let's label that really quick. And we're just going to call that a bottom closure. Let's move on into page 1. And we'll also get this one taken care of as well. All right, in your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. And on the back, it looks like this. Now, we have some cuts to get what I want to get out of this. So the first thing that we're going to do is turn this upside down. We'll measure over 11.5 and cut. So 11.5 inches. This piece right here we need, so keep it. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. So 6 inches. Okay. We need both of these right now. So we'll first start with this one. Looking at your sheet like this, sideways, we'll measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8 1/4. This piece, put in your reserves. Now this long strip that we kept, we're going to look at it to where the red is over here, measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8 1/4, there we go. This little piece, put in your reserves. Now if you were to flip this over, this is going to seam together nicely and kind of line up for you. So these two pieces is going to be for the bottom closure. And then let's work on this. So I'm going to bring this up really quick. Notice right here we have our little red trim and then we have the black polka dots. We're going to put this on our paper cutter and cut in between the red and the black polka dot trim. I think you can see that. So I'm going to do that really quick and then I'm going to show you what that looks like. Alright, I think I got it pretty good right here. This piece, put in your reserves. And our last cut, we will turn it this way. We will measure over 8 1/4 and cut. So 8 1/4. And then this piece goes in our reserves. All right, I'm going to put this out of the way, and and I'll show you what we're going to do with these. So these two pieces are going to go together just as you see, and then this one's going to be for our page 1. All right, so here's page 1, and this is our bottom closure, and you can see kind of what I did. I took this print and I went ahead and centered that side by side. Here is the hinge part, and up and down. And then the larger part of this piece went down, and I came in 1/4 inch and I glued that down, and then that long skinny piece I lined up over here and glued that down. And then the last thing I did, this word believe came off our cut aparts. I just cut it out. I didn't back it to black cardstock, and I just laid it down. Alrighty, so the next thing that we're going to move on to, if you need to pause the video, go ahead. I usually show gluing stuff down, but I did forget to turn the camera back on, but this was easy enough. So next part we're going to move on to is that inner spine number 1, and we are going to want to open this up so that we can see this. All right, let's go over the pre-cuts for this. And this was for our inner spine number 1. And we had 2 pre-cuts here. And the first one was called page 2. It's on our inner spine number 1 section on our PDF of our pre-cutting guide. It is 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. And what we did was we laid this on our scoring board, and we are 6 3/4 across, and all we did was score at 1/2 inch on that. So there's one. And then what we had was, we just called it page 2. It's a 4 1/2 by 7 inch piece. We called it a pocket. And what we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 1/2 inches across. We scored at 1/2, and then we rotated it, and now we're 7 inches across. So we scored at 1/2 and 6 1/2. The first thing we're going to do is grab our page 2, and we're going to fold on that score line. Real simple. Now, inner spine number 1, I am going to erase that now. Get that out of the way. So I'm going to show you first before we do. Now, mine is going to be upside down when I place this. So I'm going to go ahead and get that so it doesn't confuse you and you don't get turned upside down. But like I said, it doesn't matter which way you start on your scoring board to score. So this is our page 2. Okay, and our hinge is going to be off to the left. Now this is the most important thing on this. Because our page 2, it hides inside of this when this whole thing closes up, kind of protects it. It's important that I first show you. So right now the peak is up. What's going to happen is we're going to use glue, and we won't use the score tape. It's easier to maneuver with glue for something like this. Notice you have your hinge here. What's going to happen is once we have that glue on there, we'll just pull this side up and we will push it against that. And that is what's going to put this hinge down to that inner spine there. The catch to this is before you do that, kind of look and see where your hinge is here. I want you to just lay this down, okay? And then once you have it where you think you need it, I want you to just flatten it down. This is where we test to make sure that our spot is accurate, because you need to still be able to fold this in, and this still needs to be able to fold over. If you place this too high, it's going to hit your page. So find the perfect spot here. I'm going to take a pencil, and this is what's going to help me. So I know that I should still be able to see my pencil mark when I put this down. I hope that made sense. So I'm going to go for it. And you can watch first to see. And then using glue, I can still maneuver this if I need to do that. So here's this. The peak is up. I see where my little line is there. I'm just going to kind of stick it here. And I'm going to look sideways where that line is. And I'm going to put it right like this. Now while it's like this, I'm going to pull this up and this over to make sure I can still latch, and I do. I'm going to grab this, and I know that my spot was accurate, so I can just kind of stick it there. And it looks pretty straight. So you just kind of have to make sure that you are still able to shut these. And it's not that hard. And then all I'm going to do here is use my tool to burnish it down. And if you can see any pencil marks, you can go ahead and erase those, the top and bottom. All right, so our page 2 is in. We're going to find some paper for this and a little paper here to cover up that hinge. In your reserves, you will find this piece. This piece should be about 8 1/4 or so. Let's make sure. It is. It's already 8 1/4, the size that we want it. And then the width is about 1 1/8. So it doesn't matter it's whichever side that you want, but we're going to cut it down to fit right here. So whichever side you'd like to see. I'm just going to hold it like this, and I'm going to measure over 7/8 and cut. So I'm going to cut that really quick, and I'll be right back. So here's my piece, and all I'm going to do is kind of line it up with the top and bottom of this sheet, this decorative piece right here, and I'm going to stick it right next to this. Make sure you don't get it on that little bendy part there, your little hinge, and I'm just going to glue that down. I'll just tuck it right on in there best I can, and then I'll burnish that and wipe up any glue that seems to squirt out. All right. Now you remember this long strip that we had cut in the back side was the cover, and we have this trimming. I think that this is going to fit in there pretty good. Let's just see, make sure that it's going to work. We're going to trim this down just a little bit. So I'm just going to look at it like this. Got some of the flowers over here. I'm going to measure over 8 1/4 and cut. Okay, and now I'm just going to measure over 3/8 and cut that down a bit. And here is mine. So you can use any side. You can use it with the red and white side, or you can go something like this. I think I'm going to have a little more color and just use that. But we're going to use up some of these scraps for areas we can get away with instead of cutting into new pieces. And it just goes right in between those two little hinge marks, between that and that. Okay, let's turn back and start right here. In your paper pack, you will find this print, and on the back, it looks like this. Our first cut, we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. For now, put that in your reserves. We're going to turn this sideways, measure over 8 inches, and cut. So before we add glue to this, and again we are on page 2, we're going to lay this down and make sure that it fits in there, and it should be a good fit with a nice frame. So you can see I am going to stick something behind here so you can kind of see my edges. It's kind of hard black cardstock, but as you can see, I've got a nice border of black, and there's a place here to place a photograph. All right, let's glue this down. Easy stuff. Pretty prints. I just love them. Okay, we're gonna turn the page. We're right here. We're gonna grab the 4.5 by 7 inch pocket. Notice our score line. We have one across the bottom and one here and one here. Down in the corners, you'll see it kind of makes a square. We're going to cut out the square here and here. And we're cutting right on the score lines. We're going to get this ready. Okay, next thing, we're just going to fold on those score lines and use our tools. probably be easier if I had something you could actually see. I'm going to move this. It's easier to see against the lighter background. Okay, with the sides in, pull down that bottom flap, and to test, you just kind of pull that up. If this does not come up because it's hitting the bottom of these, you can trim these down a little bit. If you pull it in, down in the corner, you can see where not to go past. That just kind of helps me to know how far over I need to get my glue. And then just pull it up, and then we'll burnish. All right, let's set this off to the side. I'm going to grab this, and we're working over here. Let's pull this back out of our reserves. And we're going to turn that sideways, measure over 8 inches, and cut. All right, once you have that, verify it's going to fit in there, and it should. And we're going to glue that down. If you'd rather have the blue side up, you can. That's very pretty. I'm going to go ahead and have the prints with the characters because I have a pocket that kind of goes over. And when you place picture mats in the pocket, it may cover up some of the print, but when you take them out, you'll be able to see. So it's up to you how you want to do that. And I'm making sure that I am not on that hinge. I am away by at least 1/8. Here's my pocket. We're going to get ready for that now. Okay, pocket. On the back side, if you are new, this part down here, that ledge, that is the bottom of your pocket, and then this would be the top. So we're going to apply our glue to these flaps. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to the bottom of the decorative paper, and we're just going to place it. You may still be able to see some of your paper over here, and that's okay. I'm going to press mine in just a little bit. And then all we're going to do is burnish down, make sure those are down. Now don't worry if you've puckered it up and you can see a little bit more than you want of this side of this print peeking out, it gets covered. Alright, in your reserves, the one that has more of the color on the back, because I see some flowers down here that I want. So this piece here will fit side to side, but we do have to trim it down just a little bit. So looking at your piece like this, measure over 3 7/8 and cut. After making that cut, place this down. It should reach side to side pretty good. And I'm bringing it down to the bottom of my pocket, and that will make sure that I have this black lip, indicating it is a pocket. Now, this would be really pretty too, using this side. It is up to you. I'm going to have the blue side up. There we go. All right, pull this out of your reserves. And the one I think I would like to get after is Desire is the Engine of Creation. And I'm going to cut this out first, and then I'll trim up around it. All right, so I'm going to put this on my paper cutter, and I'm going to cut around to get the white off. And this is what mine looks like when I'm done. I'm not going to back it. I'm just going to place it down right like that at an angle. If you'd like to back yours, you can. All right, so page 2 is complete. We're now going to move on to page 3. We're on page 3. So on the pre-cutting guide, what we would have done here is cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of our cardstock to 4 3/4 by 5 1/2. And it's our waterfall, and we labeled 1. Now on each one of these, we laid these on our scoring board to where we are 4 3/4 across, and we just scored each at a 1/2 inch. So let's take each one and fold on those score lines and use our tool. Okay, let's set these off to the side. In your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous print. On the back, it is this. The first thing we're going to do is turn it this way, measure over 8 inches, and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Go ahead and put this in your reserves for right now. Next, we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Go ahead and put this in your reserves, and we're going to turn this over. We're going to apply glue to this side, and we're going to just center it right on in there and glue that down. This next part, grab your ruler and your pencil, and from the bottom of the decorative paper, let's measure up 5 inches, and we're just going to put a pencil line there. That's our marker to lay our first one. So we're going to grab these, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. The peak is up. We're going to apply glue right here. I'm going to fold that back, and I'm going to bring it up to that pencil line, and I'll cover it. And then I'm going to try and get this on evenly side to side. I don't want to get my head in the picture there, but hopefully that's even. Okay, next one. Peak is up. We're going to do the same thing. Put our glue down. Whoops, I got a little on this side here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it, and I'm just going to bring this even with the other one, pushing it up against, and I'll bring it down, and I should be able to line up there. So it just kind of gets pushed up right against that. And I'm going to do that one more time, and then we can just continue with stacking these. And it's not going on top of this, it's just coming right to it and pushing it against. And glue is always easier because in case you need to situate it. So that should be good right there. We have 2 more to go. Let's go ahead and add glue and start finishing up on the waterfall. This is a pretty quick page. And my last one. All right, let's get our decorative paper for this. In your reserves, you will find these 2 pieces. Now, the first thing I want you to do on both of these, and this is going the long way here, is we're going to measure over 5 1/4 and cut. So this is what you should have. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stick this on our paper cutter. And do you see where our little black line separates from this? Well, we're going to cut just to the right of that black line, all the way down. I'll show you mine. So after making that cut, you can see I still have some of the black over here. This one I'll put in reserves, and these 2 can go together. So that's one. In your reserves, you will also find this one, and it's blue. Measure over 5 1/4 and cut. All right, once you have that, go ahead and stick it with your other piece we just cut. Now I want to use up some of these. So let's turn this sideways. We're going to make some cuts here. We're going to measure over 4 inches and cut. We'll measure over again 4 inches and cut. Now what we're going to do, now that we have all of these, I just kind of have them all stacked up here. What we're going to do is put these on our paper cutter, and where we're going to cut is right between the darker trim and this straight down. So I'm going to show you. Now I cut mine all at once, but as you can see, what came off was this off the side. And it should be fairly accurate for all those. So now what I'm going to do is come over here, and I'm going to cut down between the darker trim and this once again, and I will do it here and here. And I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. So these are how I cut them down. And these should fit on here. If we need to trim down a little, we can. But we can also use the back side as well. So I think you can pick whichever one you want to be on the top. You can use this one, that one, whatever. I think I'm going to use this one for the top here. And I'm just going to center it on in there, and I'll leave a black trim. I'll show you. I'm going to slide this back underneath. But you can see it's kind of black all the way around. And I'm going to glue this down. And I'll flip that up. Now I'm going to grab this red one with that little trim. And I think I'll put it back under here. And you can do these any way you want. So I'm just showing you what I'm doing here. So there's that one, and then this is going to come right on top. And then I'll burnish it all down. But it's a good way to use some scrap pieces, I guess. All right. I think I'll grab this blue one, and I will place it right here. Okay. So far that's what we have. I'm going to flip that up, and that's pretty. I'm just going to, actually, let's see what else I got here. Well, that's really pretty. I'm going to have this side up down here. I'm going to end up using most of these, so you just kind of place your photo over it and whatever. I like to flip mine back down to kind of see how it flows, and it looks good with the little stripes. Okay, if we're up here, I think I'm going to go on this side, and we're just going to keep going with this. Put that up there. Whoops, I have got glue on me. I need to watch out for that. I'll flip that one up, and I think I'll go right here. That's pretty. Oh, that is really pretty. Very pretty. I want that up. I like that. That is, I love those colors. Wow. It's really nice. So I'm just kind of looking as I do these. I think I'll grab the car. That's pretty too. It's hard to tell. Now you can use whatever side you want. If you prefer not to have the images, then, you know. All right, so let's take a look. That looks good. And I like that shoe. I'm going to go right up there with that. And then I'll find something else for down there and on the back side. Okay, in your reserves, you will have this print. And I think what we're going to do is turn this to where the rose is upside down, measure over 5 1/4 and cut, measure over again 5 1/4 and cut. All right, for this, let's see, do I need to trim this down any? Nope, this is going to work pretty good here. And we'll flip that up, and then the last one, I can use that side for a little color, or I can go with something like this to match in. And I think I'll do that with the red up there. And the last piece that I want to get is to cover up this piece, this little trim black piece. In your reserves, you will find this print on the back. It looks like this. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut. Okay, the piece that I want is the red. So if I flip it over, it'll be there. And I'm just going to measure to fit. I'm going to put that red down, and it's going to come all the way to the edge of the black here, right underneath the hinge. I'm going to grab my pencil. I'll make a pencil mark, and then I'll just hand trim this. You can put it on your paper cutter if you'd like. And we're just going to glue it down. So that looks pretty good to me. I like it. Very colorful, very pretty. Now this will settle down after a bit. Let's go ahead and start cutting our paper for out here and over here. In your paper pack, you will have this print, and on the back, it looks like this. First thing we're going to do is turn it sideways, measure over 8 inches, and cut. And I think we'll be clearing her head. We would. After making that cut, this is the piece you want. Measure over 6 inches and cut. So we want both of our pieces here, and I have this flipped up. I'm going to put this on the outside. I'm going to kind of center it in there, and we'll have probably about a 1/4 inch or so on each side. So if you would rather place this one, that would look really good too. But I'm going to use this one, or if you don't want these images, you can go that side up. It's all according to your own taste or how you want to maneuver these pieces. All right, let's flip that down. Now we can use that side or we can use that side. I am going to have this side up. A little bit easier for picture placement, I think. All right, grab this back out of your reserves, and what we're going to do is make sure that this is 6 inches wide, and it looks like it is about 6 inches wide. We'll just use it as it is. So I'm going to turn it like this, the little trims over here. I'm going to measure over 1/2 inch and cut, and measure over again 1/2 inch and cut. All right, so pretty much you can use any one of these cuttings that you want. They should fit right in there without interfering. Here's the one with this print with the black dots. I'm going to stick that right there, or you can use the other side. It's up to you. They're both pretty much the same, except one has more red over here. So I'm just going to line that up side to side with my decorative paper and get that in between the hinges there. And this one goes right up here. In your paper pack, you will have this print, and on the back it is this. Let's turn this sideways. The trim is down here. Measure over 2 inches and cut. And once you have that, we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. So we have 2 of these, and we're going to use them. We will place one right here. Or you can use this side, whichever you like. Actually, I'm going to use this side for in here. That kind of looks really good. And on the other side, I'm going to use with the red polka dots. It looks pretty cool like that. Okay, let's close this up, this last piece here. How do I want to do it? I think I'm going to do that where the red polka dot is down. I'm a little off there. Oh well, that's okay. Anyway, so how this works is when you are closing up your album, page 2 has to go in first, and then you close it, and then it slides in without interference. Just like that. So it all looks good in there. Okay. I like it. It looks wonderful. Let's move on to inner spine number 2 and page 4. All right, inner spine number 2 and page 4 we are on. We have 2 pre-cuts for page 4. Let's go over them. We have one 6 7/8 by 8 1/4, and we called it a fold out. We laid this on our scoring board to where we are 6 7/8 across. We scored at 1/2 and 3/4. Next, we just have one of those pockets, 4 by 7. And we laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across. We scored at 1/2. We then turned it to now we are laying 7 inches across, scored 1/2 inch and 6 1/2 inches. Grab this back out of your reserves, and we're going to go ahead and turn it this way, looking at the polka dots, and that little strip is over here. Measure over 8 1/4 and cut. This is what you should have. Now we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. So right now this is what I have, and I'm just going to take this one here. It has, if you're looking up, there's a little rosebud over there. I don't really think it matters, but and we're going to work with this, and I'm going to flip it over. The first thing that we want to do is grab our fold out. And we're going to fold on both of those score lines. So there's one score line, here's the other. All right, our hinge is going to be off to the right. And the easiest way to get this on here is you have an inner score line and an outside. On the outside one, we're going to pinch and crease. You will still be able to see your other one. And all we're going to do is hook that back behind our piece. and it should fit in there perfectly. And once you have it all the way scooted in and it's even, you're going to pinch, hold it. If you feel your paper slip, realign. But what I like to do is when I open up that flap, I can see that score line, and if it's straight, I know I got it on straight. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there and burnish. And then after I do that, I like to open it up to make sure no glue seeped in there. And then once I have that, I can fold back on the other score line and push in, and it will make a spacing. So let's close this and get for the outside. We have this, and we're going to have to cut this down just a little bit. So I'm just kind of looking at it like this. I'm going to measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Once I've done that, I'm going to turn it and measure over 8 inches and cut. All right, let's make sure that this will fit on the outside, and it does. And I think I'm going to have the roses up, so we're just going to put this on the outside of that fold out there. Kind of center it in there. And you can even just kind of flop this if you want to get it burnished down really good. All right. And we'll do something else over here when we're done. Let's work on in here. In your paper pack, you will find this print, and on the back it looks like this. And we're going to look at the back side. We're going to turn it to where the leaves are, the little flowers and stuff are down here. Measure over 8 inches and cut. After making that cut, we'll look at it to where this is here. Measure over 5 7/8 and cut. We're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue that down. Let's grab our pocket. Let's cut out those little squares. And we're going to assemble our pocket like we did before. And I can see I am off on my cut there. Don't want any pokies. All right, we're going to apply glue to these flaps and get this down. And I'll bring it down to the bottom of my decorated paper. And on the right side, I'm going to line that up with the side of my paper, and then I can push in on the other line up to kind of give more room in that pocket. In your reserves, you will find this print. You'll see there's this. And here on the other side, it looks like this. We're going to turn this around. We're going to measure over 5 7/8 and cut. Next, we're going to turn it to where this trim is over here. Measure over 3 3/8 and cut. Let's apply glue. We'll bring it down to the bottom of our pocket and glue that down. You can use this side if you'd like. All right, let's grab this out of reserves. Let's get this. And let's see, on this piece, we're going to cut out this one. The starting point of all achievement is desire. All right, I'm going to cut out and around each one of these. And then I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. Here's this. And here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this down to black cardstock. And then I'm going to cut out and around, leaving a little bit of black. And I will do the same with this one. And then I'll show you what mine looks like when I'm done. So this is what mine looks like after I cut out and around it, and this one as well. All right, I think I want to overlap these slightly, so I'm going to put a little glue to start down here and maybe up in the corner. And I'm going to place this down so I can try and get this on straight, and I'm going to bring it over just enough to where I don't cover the words, but I want to try and get this on straight because I want to try and create a little tuck area for us. All right, so there's that. And now what we're going to do is we'll leave this side open with glue, but I'm going to rotate this and I'm going to go this way. And I'm just going to kind of go up a little on her head without getting over there. Bring it to the bottom of my pocket. So now you can slide a photograph back behind or a picture mat. That looks really good. All right, let's grab this back out. The word imagine, we're going to cut out and around it. All right, imagine. I think I'll go right up here with that. Pretty good over here too. But I wanted to use this right up here. I'm not going to back it black cardstock. I don't think I really need to. All right, let's close that up. We are going to get this in our book together. And I'm going to grab this. So this is closed right now, so when you open it, it is the polka dots. And that should fit right on in there nicely. So I am going to get glue on this. Get this in our book. Okay. I'm going to make sure I don't put this in upside down. But I can see that I'm going to clear, and I just kind of want to get this on straight. So once I have it down there, I can open that up and burnish. So I think that looks really good, the colors that kind of flow together. Last thing I want to do is I want to get the guitar here, and we're going to cut out and around it, and then we do want to kind of mount this onto black cardstock and cut out around that. So I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Alright, so I kind of butchered mine a little bit, and as you can see, here's my cuttings that I cut off some of that extra leaves over here. And now I'm just going to find some cardstock to put this on, glue it down, and cut out and around. Alright, so here's mine, and all we're going to do is put glue underneath the leaf, under here, and up over here. It's going to be at like an angle so that you can still get something underneath. But you definitely want to make sure you get some of this and right up in here. I think I got that on the right side. Bring that up here. Bring that over here. Make sure that's glued down. So you can get a picture in, say you wanted a photograph on this page, and if you want to tuck behind it, you can. One more piece is right here. In your reserves, you will have this piece. So we'll just kind of look at it like this. We're going to measure over 8 1/4 and cut. Now we're going to measure over 1 1/8 and cut. So after you do that, we're just going to lay it right on in here. Well, it looks like I have a little bit of the paper pack adhesive there. And we're going to lay it down right in there. Now you can use this side or you can use that. I'm going to have the polka dots up. And it just fits in between the hinges there, top and bottom. Well, let's take a look here. That looks really good. We have our waterfall, our page, and that just kind of goes right there, and then when you open it up, so it won't ruin your page at all. It kind of will slide back in and close. Well, that's all there is to this. It's really simple and easy, and anything that you have left over in your scrap pile or paper pack you can use for your picture mats, or you can add in a solid colored cardstock. We don't do the picture mats together because everyone has their own size for picture mats. But I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comments that you were here. I enjoy hearing from you all. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so if you like the content. I'm always releasing free tutorials. Happy crafting, everybody, and I will see you on my next tutorial.